Hi guys, Casper MMA here, and today we are back with another prediction video on the channel today and give my predictions for LFA 191 Prado versus Lopes. This is my first time doing an LFA prediction video. I usually just do UFC and PFL, but I thought I'd branch out, we'll explore some other promotions, see if my method works the same way. We have a lot of fights on this card today, so we're going to kick things off straight away. There's 15 in total, I think, so we're just kicking it off with Hyller versus Giovanna Inácio. Now, both have very, not very many fights in their pro record. This is Hyller's first professional fight. She was 2-2 as an amateur. Inácio, on the other hand, 0-1. She lost the first fight as a professional. So not much to go off here, but I do think Hyller will get the job done. I think she looks slightly better from some of her fights, and yeah, I've got her by decision in this fight. So we move up. We're going to be short and snappy here. We're going to get through them. So next up, we have Hector Santiago versus Pedro Sousa. Now, Hector Santiago 1-0 versus Pedro Sousa, who is 0-1. So basically contrasting records there. But what's his face? Hector Santiago he's pretty good boxer. He's done a bit of kickboxing and boxing. He's got quite a few wins under his belt there. Whereas, where's he gone? Pedro Sousa. He's had a few. He's lost one kickboxing fight before. It's a kickbox versus kickbox, really. And I do think that Santiago is the better fighter here, and I've got him by decision in this one. Maybe KO, but I'd go with decision. So we move up the card to Giovanni Garcia versus Genilto Matos. I'm not going to be able to pronounce a lot of the names of this card. I think every fighter is Brazilian. I ain't Brazilian. I'm going to butcher some names, but you've got to bear with me. Giovanni Garcia undefeated. Matos is not undefeated. Very bad. He's 13-7. Not a great record, to be fair. He's coming off a win, but he lost 3 in a row before that. And Garcia 7-0. It's pretty hard to be against him, so I think we know who I'm going with here. I'm going to go with Garcia by submission in round 2. That is my pick. So moving up the card, we have Marcus Aurélio versus Andre Silva. Now, pretty similar records. 5-0 for Aurélio, 5-1 for the other guy. I forgot his name. Andre Silva. So they're pretty similar records. I do, however, think that Aurélio is the better fighter here. I mean, I think he's won more convincingly in some of his fights. With he can knock people out. He submits them. I just feel like he's a better overall fighter than Andre Silva, so I'm going to go with Marcus Aurélio by decision. Now, we move up the card to Guilherme Pat versus Mauricio Queiroz. Now, Guilherme Pat 4-0, Queiroz 4-4. Pretty different records, to be honest. Guilherme Pat, he's had 3 knockouts at heavyweight, 1 decision. I'm going to go with Pat here. I think he gets the knockout in round 1. I think it's a pretty easy pick there. So, we move up to Demison Rodrigues versus Luan Pedroso. Now, Demison Rodrigues looks pretty decent, 8-2, 6 wins by KO. He did lose his first fight in the LFA, but that was because of an illegal kick, so it's not like he got knocked out. Pedroso, a couple more losses to be fair, but doesn't look too bad. I think it could be a decent fight, but I am going to go with Demison Rodrigues. I think he gets done by KO in round 2. Now, we move up the card to Matheus Soares versus Maxon Lee. Both pretty decent records, 7-1 versus 7-0, and both look good fighters. It could be it could go either way here. We have Soares with 6 KOs out of 7 wins, which is pretty decent. On the other hand, Lee has 3 wins by submission, 3 wins by knockout. But I see this going one way. I see Soares winning this, and I think he gets it done by KO in round 1. You know, he could get submitted maybe later on, but I feel like he gets the job done in round 1. He doesn't have to worry about that, so that's my pick. Now, we move up to Cleberson Sousa versus Lincoln Santos. This is a hard one to pick, I think. 8-3 versus 8-2. Pretty similar records, to be honest. It's about probably their couple performances. I mean, Cleberson Sousa, he did lose 3 in a row early on in his career, but then he's had a very lot. He's on a pretty high win streak at the minute. Lincoln Santos, 8-2. I mean, he does it all. He's got 3 wins by decision, 3 by submission, and 2 by KO. I mean, what can't this man do? He's won by punches and arm triangle his last 2 fights. I'm going to go with Santos here, and I reckon he gets it done by submission, because Sousa has been submitted before, so I reckon if it goes down to the floor, Santos has got this one. Now, we move up the card too. Felipe Guidani versus John Bryan. Now, both 3-0 professional records, so lack of experience, both of them. It's a 19-year-old versus an 18-year-old, so very young to both of them. But I can see John Bryan getting this one done. I mean, he's a submission artist. He's got he's got 2 wins by submission and 1 win by KO. I just feel like he's going to be coming out there early. He's going to take Guidani down, and he's going to submit him in round 1. So that is my pick. Now, we move up the card to Ruth Pereira versus Amanda Vargas. Both got the same record as the other fight did. Both got a record of 3-2. So not the most impressive. Pereira coming off a loss to decision to Castano. She did win by. She has a few wins by KO, to be fair, in kickboxing and that, so she isn't too bad really. She's fighting Vargas, 3-2, who is coming off a win by KO, so it's decent, and she's got 2 wins by submission. Her losses to decision as well, so it's a tough one to pick. But I'm going to go with Vargas here. I think she might be the underdog. I'm not too sure, but I'm going to go with her by decision in this one. It's a women's fight. They usually go decision or submission, so yeah, sprinkle a bit of money on that decision I'd go for. Right, up on the card we have João Lucas de Costa versus Rafael Pereira. Now, de Costa doesn't look too bad, to be fair. Record of 8-2. He's coming off a split decision win versus Caio Fernandez. Before that, he lost, and had a no contest. So, not the best record recently. Whereas Rafael Pereira, 11-4. He had a few losses early in his career. Then he went to Muay Thai, won quite a few matches. Then he came back to MMA, and he's on a pretty high win streak now. So he's looking decent at the age of 27. I'm going to pick him. I do think that Rafael Pereira gets it done by decision. Now, we move up the card again to Maria Luisa de Abreu versus Gabriela Fujimoto. Now, very similar records as most of these fights seem to be. 5-1 versus 5-0. Fujimoto undefeated coming into this fight. She looks like a pretty good fighter, to be fair. Only 21 as well. Pretty decent prospect. I think she's going to get this done, and I have her by decision. Now, we move up the card to Michelle Lima versus Luan Matheus. I don't know how you say that. But Michael Lima, 18-6. Both of these guys seem quite experienced, to be fair. Got quite a lot of fights under their belt. He has a lot of losses recently. I mean, he hasn't had a win for like quite a while now. Whereas his Luan Matheus, 14-7-1, so he's got quite a few fights as well under his belt. 29-year-old. He's coming off. He's got 1 loss. No, he's got 3 wins out of last 4 matches, which is fair enough. He lost a submission. I don't think there's much threat of a submission in this fight, to be honest. So I'm going to go with Matheus here, and I reckon he gets it done by KO in round 2. Now, we move up the card to the co-main. Lucas Fernando versus Pedro Oliveira. Now, Lucas Fernando was on the Contender Series in the past. He fought Cesar Almeida, who's pretty decent. We've seen him. He fought like Kopilov, maybe he lost, but he looks pretty decent in the UFC, to be fair. He lost a decision as well, so not a bad showing really. Apart from that, he's won quite a few fights in LFA. He's pretty decent, this Fernando. Whereas he's fighting Pedro Oliveira, 8-2. Is a decent fighter as well. Won his last 2 by KO. He lost to Marco Tulio, who is also in the he's in the UFC now. We just watched him win the Contender Series recently. So both these guys have fought like pretty high level fighters. But I am going to go with Fernando here. I do think he is the better fighter overall, and I've got him winning this by decision. Now, we move up to the main event. Wellington Prado versus Kaweny Lopes. Now, should be a decent fight, to be fair. 2 Brazilians getting it done. There's Wellington Prado. He's got a decent record of 14-3, so not too many losses. He recently lost to Marcio Barbosa by KO, but then he came back with a win against Vaz by retirement. Kaweny Lopes, 10-1, so he's had one no contest or draw or something. He drew his first ever fight, then lost his next one, but since then he's had a completely undefeated record, and he looks like a pretty decent problem. And I think he might be the underdog, Lopes, but I'm going to go with him. I reckon he gets this done by KO in round 2. So, there were my picks for LFA 191. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of the picks. And that is going to be all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.